Hey everybody, Matt Thomas here. I am a local real estate agent. I'm here with Brian Dewald. Brian is a local mortgage lender. And Brian, let's just jump into it. We know rates have been up, rates have been down.
Yeah.
How would you say things are going right now?
You know, over the last 7 days since we last spoke, rates are up just ever so slightly. I mean, just a tick, hardly noticeable in my opinion. What we're seeing, strangely, is that the price for a buy down is gotten really attractive. So typically, what we see, you know, historically, is that if one were to pay 1 point in a discount fee, and that would be 1%, right? So if you finance $500,000, your fee would be $5,000. Historically, we would see, you know, a rate go from 5.25% to 5%, or whatever that, you know, it's about a 0.25% spread per point. We are seeing a massive drop in interest rates when people are paying even a portion of a point, which is super cool. And I'm
Great.
a lot of, you know, contracts with folks that are having the seller pay for some of these fees. It's just worked out actually really good. The spread between, you know, no fee or point, fraction of a point, and paying them is the biggest I've ever seen in my 20 years. It's really actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, Brian, obviously we're here to dispel the myths about the mortgage world. And one of the myths, obviously, is that, you know, the rates, obviously, we're no longer going to hang our hat on what happened in January and February. The rates were awesome then. They aren't like that anymore. But guess what? It's also not June. And June is when things just seemed like they're really, May and June, they just fell apart. Rates just went up. They went up so fast that it really kind of caught everyone off guard and threw everything into a tizzy, the real estate market and everything else.
Sure.
However, it is not June either. So it's not January, it's not June. Generally speaking, you know, things are better. There's some volatility, right? But we're generally seeing a clearer picture on what mortgages are. Buyers and sellers are both familiar with what's going on in the mortgage world right now. And as you're saying, there's a lot of great opportunities regarding rates and buy downs and whatnot for buyers. That's really outstanding. So that should be the overall message here. So Brian, we saw some numbers like the CPI, and then there's there are two numbers that came out that are the CPI. That the headline CPI was projected to hit 8.7%. It fell short of that. It hit 8.5. There's the core CPI, which excludes food and energy, and that was projected to hit 6.1%. It fell short of that. It hit 5.9%. So what this tells us is that inflation is starting to relax a little bit. It doesn't mean it's over. Those are still very high numbers. And we also know that there's not a direct correlation necessarily to mortgage rates. But overall, you know, the economy is something we have to consider clearly when we're thinking about mortgages, because people have that in mind and they're wondering which way things are going in general. So those are numbers that sound good. I think ideally we'll see mortgage rates come down with inflation. Is that how you see it?
We would hope, yeah. It's just so interesting, right? It a lot of times it'll sort of gear towards that direction a little bit, and what investors anticipate happening with mortgage rates, and then something else will pop up where, you know, a little unexpected sometimes that we see, and it'll change the opposite directions for good or for worse. So just kind of depends on the day and what investors are feeling.
No, it makes sense. But in general, you know, I think any kind of positive news for the economy is always good to hear. If you're looking for a home right now, know that there are opportunities in the real estate market. That inventory's picked up. The opportunities seem to abound. There are price reductions. Sellers, as Brian mentioned, are willing to offer concessions, and you can use those as buy downs. I think that's great news. Brian, anything else that you're seeing that you want to share real quick?
You know, the only other couple things that I've noticed on some of the contracts and the deals that we've got in process are that, and this is a huge one in my opinion, you know, the sellers are offering to help with inspection items, which is the first time in a while that we've seen that. So I think it's, you know, we're hoping to get kind of back to a balanced market, but between concessions, we're seeing some of those, some price reductions for sure, inspection items. And, you know, for me, the biggest one is not having to guarantee appraisals, right? Not having to overbid by $100,000 or what, you know, I'm exaggerating, but we've seen quite a few of those. So, you know, coming, and this doesn't, of course, fit every box, right? Doesn't check every box, but a lot of folks are able to buy homes for they don't have to be nearly as aggressive as they were in the spring, let's say. So it's just been an opportunity, in my opinion, for buyers.
Well, there's no question, yeah, and it's what we talked about. Buyers have wanted that for years now, especially since the onset of the pandemic and when prices just really went out of control. The market it needed to cool off, and it is. And so, we share that news as buyers. There are opportunities for home buyers right now that we haven't seen in a while. I'm with you there. I actually had an inspector share with me a home inspection objection that he saw. There were 22 items listed on the inspection objection. And honestly, in the last couple of years, it's been common to not even sometimes turn in an inspection objection. So buyers, if you were one of the people that were looking to make sense of what was going on in the last couple of years and just kind of got pushed out of the market, man, there are some opportunities. There really, truly are. It's not just something we're saying here. So anyway, we'd love to talk to you about that. Reach out to Brian if you have any mortgage questions. Reach out to myself if you have real estate related questions, and we would love to help you. Otherwise, this has been another episode of Mortgage Minute. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, buddy.
See you, Brian.